My relationship with Ernie Ball kind of got started when I first started touring in around 2009. I was in a band called All Shall Perish at the time. They played one of the Music Man basses and they had a string endorsement. So that's how I got in touch with them initially when I first started touring. I had already bought my own Petrucci Music Man Pearl Burst Red of the very first version when it was the only model out at the time with the forearm scoop. That was what I was playing. Yeah, they just introed me from there, and then I've just been in touch with them ever since 2009. The relationship just kept growing. Right when I started doing like my solo stuff, that's when we were able to convince Sterling, man, to give me my own model. And then a couple of years later, we had this thing. What sets Music Man apart from all other manufacturers is it's what I grew up playing, because you know Petrucci is one of my favorite guitar players, and when I was still a teenager, like learning Dream Theater songs in my bedroom and stuff like that, I just wanted my favorite guitar player's guitar, and it just ended up being one of like the sickest guitar brands like out there. And they've just kept refining and dialing in things over time. It's my collection now is like close to 40 guitars deep, and like I've just been amassing them since I've been endorsed in 2009. So seeing like how the guitars have progressed over that 15-year span now is like, I can walk into my room and I have one that's like 15, 20 years old now, and just seeing the differences and like what's subtly changed from like bridge position and just all of that kind of stuff is just cool to see how it just keeps progressively getting better and better and better and better as time goes on. All the guitar tones you just heard on my playthrough are my signature MixWave Amp Sim that you can also get through Sweetwater. The plugin's based off of an Archon 50. When I do use real amps, I have the PRS endorsement for amps and cabinets, and the Archon is by far the best real amp head that I've heard in a while, for me, at least in how it reacts to my playing style. That was the inspiration behind the rhythm and clean tones of my MixWave Amp Sim. The lead is based off a Soldano, so that's what we used on my first album for leads. I just kind of let Taylor Larson, the dude who's like the ears and brains behind all the MixWave stuff, I just know if I go to him, it's gonna sound good no matter what. So I just kind of give him free reign to just do whatever he wants to the tone, and then I'm just like, all right, what'd you do? And then I just learn from that and can just kind of tinker on my own. I just use up ending his settings too. Is it intention? All the IRs within the plugin we were actually taken at MixWave. I was part of the whole process of, like, you know, moving the mics around and being going like, all right, do it again, another science sweep. Okay, go back in. Now angle it. All right. There's some like wild vintage 5-figure microphones on there too that you can pick from. And that's actually, the cabinet sound is what we used. All those IRs is what we used for the actual guitar tone on my latest album too. I was able to convince Josh Wilbur, the guy who did all the New All That Remains stuff, to use my plugin for all the tones on this New All That Remains album as well. I know he used the plugin for the final mix of the All That Remains album, so that's another example of what you can get it to sound like. My entire career, or since I've been playing guitar, discovered Jazz 3 picks, the Dunlop Jazz 3s. That's what I've been using. I've tried some variations, like I've tried a handful of like John's different Jazz 3s that he has, because he's got, you know, different sized ones, different textures and stuff like that. I even tried Ernie Ball Prodigies for a little bit, which is like they have one that's similar to a Jazz 3. But then one day I was hanging out with Tim from Polyphia, because I'm pretty sure those guys, both Tim and Scott, like to use the Sharps, the Dunlop Sharps, which is a big pick. It's like a, you know, full size, normal size pick. But the way that it goes through the string, just like how sharp it is. I remember when I just picked up the pick and started playing, I was like, wow, these kind of just like barrel through the string in a way that, like, you know, a more rounded kind of pick wouldn't. I just can't play with big picks. It's just not for me. I'm just so used to a jazz size pick. So when Dunlop approached me to do a full, like just a whole new pick, like not just a Tortex with like my logo on it or anything like that, like an actual brand new like mold to press the pick, I was like, I just started thinking really hard. I was like, what if I could have like a Jazz 3 sized Sharp? Frank over at Dunlop was like, you know, we've actually never done anything like that before in the history of our company. I was like, really? Like, how am I the first one to think of that? Like just a small Sharp pick. He's like, oh, but here we are. It's just the top half of a Jazz 3 and then the bottom half of a Sharp, where it's just a pointy Jazz 3. But now I can't play with anything else other than this pick. It's like a 10% accuracy hack. You don't have to do anything different, and it's just a little bit cleaner.